Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
We're calling our meeting to order on November 7th, 2024 Park Commission meeting. And our first order of business is approval of minutes for October. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Okay, any discussion about the minutes, corrections? And those in favor of the minutes as provided, say aye.
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 That carries, none are opposed. We have no public appearances for non-agenda items. So we will move to review and approve our agenda. A motion to approve the agenda is written.
Still motion.
We've got three of them, but Sarah Schroeder was first.
I think I heard Heidi.
A second?
Second?
Chris Primero. Okay. Any discussion about the agenda? Switch around, leave it as is? Those in favor of the agenda as written, say aye.
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 That carries. Okay, we're going to start with item 5A, which is the resolution R-190-24, amending the 2024 general fund budget, additional hours for community center LTE attendance. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve. Second.
Second that motion.
Okay. I should have, before going ahead with that, but it's all right. We have a citizen who'd like to make some remarks. Patrick Cheney. I apologize, Patrick.
Here, right?
Well, actually, he, next to Sam, one or the other, right? Either one.
Go to your right. Yeah.
Hello. Nice warm day out today. I'll get back to that. I'm in support of this because the Recreation Department has evaluated how their operations work, and they saw that by investing some money, they can have an LTE funded to have the community center more open for residents to use. And that's the whole idea of what city government should do, is look for improvements in services for the residents. Now, related to that, another example is the splash pad used to shut down operations right before Labor Day weekend. And the previous couple of years, as I remember, it was nice and warm on Labor Day, and the question was, why isn't it still open? Well, there wasn't anybody funded to operate it, but a change was made this year that there's someone available, staff or somebody, to continue through Labor Day. And the idea, same as for this, I would say, for this agenda item here, is if it's needed, there's the funding to cover a staff person. And if no one is needed in the community center, then just save the money. Same thing for the splash pad. As I remember this year, the Labor Day weekend was cold, might have even been rainy. So, okay, then watch the weather and shut it down before Labor Day because nobody's gonna come in the rain or the cold. Now, what I also observed recently is some of the city service facilities in the parks have been getting shut down at the end of October because that's the way they were always done. I did check just now, McKee restrooms are still open and there's people out there right now playing tennis, so that's good. But right after October 31st, on that Friday, the McGaw shelter restrooms were locked up, even though there was an event scheduled for that evening. I also noticed that sometime in that same week, end of October, the splash pad drinking fountain for the people, for the dogs, was also closed, locked up, bagged. So my point is, look at what's better for the residents and provide the best services, and if necessary, reevaluate any policies or procedures, and see if there can be improvement, because it's always good to evaluate and improve. The weather this week, this week is warm, last week was warm, next week is warm. So really, the McGaw restrooms could have been open through into next week. The dog park drinking fountains could have been kept open for maybe another few weeks because people were out there a lot. So think about that for next year. Thank you. Any questions on this? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, so we have the motion to approve and second, and Scott, go ahead with what you'd like to tell us.
Yes, and actually this is, the community center attendants that are referred to in this are the attendants that are here when the community center is rented. It's not, the community center isn't open to the, it's certainly open during business hours, but isn't open outside of business hours. So these are hours that are needed to, we had a pretty successful, or having a successful year in regards to community center rentals. So we did budget 750 hours, and actually these dollars are recovered through the community center rental fees. But we are finding that the community center is being rented more often, so we need to add 100 hours to that community center attendant position. And then actually the way that this $1,750 is going to be put back into the budget is through the revenues from the rentals of the community center. So again, this is whenever the community center is rented, we hire a community center attendant who is there to open the doors, make sure if they need anything, and then close the door. So that's what these hours are used for.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Like a no-brainer decision to me.
Yep. You know, and I think, and I've been here before too with WPRA ticket sales and the park shuttle rentals and everything's being used. So this is another case of the community is renting the facility.
Okay. If there's no other questions or comments, those in favor of Resolution R 19024 say aye.
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 Any opposed? None opposed, so that motion carries. Thank you. Okay. So next is 5B, which is Resolution R 193-24, authorizing staff to draft agreements for public improvements for property located on Yarmouth Greenway Drive. Follow the same route I did with the first one. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll move approval.
And that's Alder Herbst. Second?
Second.
Christopher?
Second.
Okay, Christopher Guerrero. Okay, and we do have two citizens. I gave the wrong one to, no, okay, got it, never mind. I'm going to, go ahead with Steve Arnold and Dawn Steigert. I know you also are the people spearheading this. So go ahead and provide some comment, and go ahead, Scott.
Well, if I might, just really an idea of what the role of the Park Commission is at this meeting. This is kind of the first phase of the project. So the council, it's basically a resolution to receive authorization from the Common Council to continue with the project. So it's being referred to us, how do you feel about the project? And then it'll go to the Common Council, and if they're good with it, then we'll begin to start to work on the details on how we get the project completed. So that's really kind of the gist of the meeting tonight.
I'll introduce myself, and then Dawn will introduce herself, and then she will start, and I'll finish.
Okay.
So,
And we have another citizen who did register to speak as well. So.
No, I'm registered only in support.
Oh, in support. Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, so I'm Steve Arnold, 2530 Targhee Street in Fitchburg, and I am here representing Bike Fitchburg, which is the financial agent for the project. We're a city nonprofit.
And I'm Dawn Stiegert, 3068 Yarmouth Greenway Drive, and I'm here representing the Friends of Kyle Stiegert Greenway. You want me to go ahead, Steve? Or?
Yeah, no, so go ahead and the genesis of the project and so on.
Well, I want to thank the Parks Commission for meeting with us again. I think it was about a year and a half ago that we were here, and but I know that some people on the commission have changed. There's been a few changes, so I just wanted to just briefly give you the story of my husband Kyle, who died 2.5 years ago. He was a wonderful man, my best friend, love of my life, and he got pulmonary fibrosis, and that is a non-curable lung disease. And the only thing that can support it or help it is a lung transplant. So he did receive a lung transplant at the UW hospital. But unfortunately for him, it didn't take very well. So my husband was a professor at the university in agriculture and applied economics. He loved to bike. We are sitting right on the Cap City Bike Trail, and he loved to ride his bike to work and back. He loved to clear his head on the way in and to clear his head on the way home. So he was an avid bike rider. So anyway, when the lung transplant was not doing what we hoped it would, some people live a year, some 10 plus years, so he drew a short straw on that. But when it wasn't looking so good, we had some pretty heartfelt conversations. And right next to our house is an outlot on the Cap City Bike Trail, and mainly has lots of invasives. It's been cleared a couple times, but it grows a lot of invasive species, some trees that can't quite get it, they're just, it gets overgrown and whatnot. And so in lieu of flowers, in our heartfelt talks, I did suggest to him, I wonder if we can do something with that area. I didn't say at that time in his name, I don't know that he would have wanted that, but that's me. His eyes just lit up with that, for it maybe being a park bike repair station, a little path. And so in his obituary and at his memorial service, that's what we said: in lieu of flowers, please donate to a potential park in Kyle's name. It's since become a greenway. And we, raised about $16,000. We've spent a little bit on it, getting the materials for the bike repair station. Had some goats come in and clean things up because it was really getting over. The city of Fitchburg came in at one point and crunched everything down. I think that was the spring or fall after he died. And then it just started growing just crazy again, so we've cleared it out a little bit one more time. So anyway, that's the project, and it is a small space in Fitchburg. I really appreciated the city hearing us several times in this committee and meeting with Chad and Mayor Julia. I really appreciate the listening ears and openness to this potential project, so.
So, wanted to explain why you have this on your agenda without a council referral. It was to be referred to you, but it was not referred due to an oversight by city staff. And I pointed out that Park Commission meets just before council, so we'd have wait a whole nother month, and we were trying to get some stuff done this fall with council approval. And the city administrator agreed with me that generally referrals out are non-controversial, and so they put it in your packet for this meeting, and then the council will directly refer it to itself next Tuesday. And council doesn't like to do direct referrals because usually they do not have the opportunity to get recommendations from commissions and committees. But in this case, they will. They'll have your recommendation, so that's why it's proceeding along that way. They did not put some things that we submitted for the packet into the packet, and so one more thing was put in, which is my White Fitchburg memo, and that basically was to show the progress to date, all the things that happened. The meetings we had, the concessions we had, the work that we had done, the consultants we consulted, the goats we hired. So you have that before you, and I can answer any questions about that. That was a lot of verbiage that was originally in our draft resolution, and I took it out to make the resolution shorter at the request of staff. The clerk doesn't like to publish super long resolutions because it costs a lot of money in the paper. But they did not give you our draft resolution. And they did not give you the memorandum of agreement that was drafted at city by us, by the city, at the city's request, or the financial worksheet for the replacement costs, which is required now in our capital improvement program. So those are the three documents that you have before you. And we have a slightly different objective than city staff. City staff is saying, please council authorize us to talk to Steve and Dawn about this and make some agreements. And we have been talking to them for 2 years. And we don't think we need a resolution to do that. We think that solves a problem that doesn't exist. And that you can imagine, if you've ever seen a plan commission, what city government would be like if every applicant for any kind of city action needed a resolution of the council to talk to staff. So we have another resolution for you, which is the top thing and the thing I just handed out. And for those who are not here in the room, the first thing in the email that I sent out, and when was that? It was yesterday. So our resolution does more than the staff resolution. The staff resolution says, talk to Steve and Dawn and make the necessary agreements. And the second thing it says is, develop policies for and procedures for similar requests. Our resolution says, approve the name of this facility as the Kyle Steger Greenway. Now, we applied for a park name through the regular park naming procedure more than a year ago. I think it was August of 23, but it's in your in the memo when that was. And the comment period has been open. There are 3 yard signs that say what is happening here, 2 on the Capital City State Trail and 1 on the Yarmouth Greenway sidewalk at the site. And all the neighbors got letters, and there is a web page that directs comments on this project to Scott Hendel, Parks Director, and a QR code that goes to the web page and everything. So this has been open for neighborhood comment for 14 months. And if I could interrupt to ask Scott a question, would you say that the comments have been positive or negative or mixed?
Positive.
Okay. So this has been out there for a long time, and you all have seen it more than a year ago, those who were on the commission at that time. What staff is not ready to do is approve the memorandum of agreement that is in this packet. It was modeled after the agreement that the city supplied us as a model between the park department and Capital Off-Road Pathfinders for the paths that are in the Quarry Ridge Recreation Area. And I immediately questioned that because I know that the park department cannot make agreements with anybody. Only the council can make agreements. So that's one thing that will probably be changed. It will probably not be a memorandum of understanding. It'll be a contract, and there'll probably be more stuff in there. So they're not ready. The staff has not approved this. So what we would like you to do is take our amendment, our draft resolution, and put it as a substitute amendment. That is, completely replace the one that staff had. And then ours has 3 whereases. The first one approves the name, the second one approves the concept plan. The third one approves the MOA. And so what we suggest you do is put this in as a substitute amendment, then further amend it to add the date to the top, add the resolution number, those 2 are highlighted, and on the second page, the third whereas, it's the second be it further, sorry, I was saying whereas, I meant be it resolved clause. So be it further resolved that authorizes the attorney, that's the third one, delete that, and put in the 2 be it further resolved clauses from the memo that Adam Sayer wrote. Be it resolved that the staff will work with the applicants on the agreement, be it resolved that the staff will work on procedures and policies. So that's what we would like to do, because this has really been around a long time, and we really don't think that the staff memo is adding any value and moving the project along. We could talk about what's in the project. You've seen the concept plan. The picture was done by a landscape architecture student as a capstone project with funding from the UW Department of Planning and Landscape Architecture. It's evolved a little bit. It shows kind of a circular central path, and now there will be only a straight through path. We moved the bicycle repair stand and bike parking up to the Capital City Trail so that it can be maintained in the wintertime, because the trail on the greenway itself that runs parallel to the Cap City Trail, that path will be gravel and not maintained in the winter, or at least not shoveled. So there have been some changes, but the general concept is what we're asking you to approve or recommend that the council approve. See if I got everything. Oh, and we are also very eager to hear any feedback from you about how the project could be improved or anything that you don't like about it, of course. So we've cleared a lot of honeysuckle. We've had 2 landscape restoration companies come out, send representatives and discuss it with us. And the project area is cleared, a lot larger area than we had originally envisioned, and that will help. And we'd like to remove some box elder trees and a dead apple tree. And that will allow more light into the site and will allow for more successful and larger prairie planting. But these are kind of the details. The concept remains the same. Do you have anything to add, Don? So I don't think I had any other points that I wanted to view. Oh, and I just put on your computers, for those of you who are not familiar with Bike Fitchburg, we're the local bicycle advocacy organization for the city. And this is a little bit about us that you can read later, so you know who you're dealing with.
Okay, I see Heidi has a comment. Well, if anyone has questions of the presenters, you know, they're here and can answer or.
I walk by that area every day.
Do you?
Every day. So my condolences to you.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but I'm
appreciate
fully supportive of what you're doing. I'd be happy to help you in any way. I'm a biker myself, so
Okay.
I know a little bit about how to use a chainsaw, and I know something about chemicals too, so.
Okay.
You know, that's
Get your name and number.
I'd be happy to help you. I mean, I'm not very far, I don't live
Yeah.
very far from there.
Okay.
A former park commissioner, who many of you know, who I'm blanking on her name right now, Katie McDonald, also is very supportive, and she was out there twice, and the second time she and I surveyed the site so that we could compute the slope of the swale that needed to be done. I had another.
Well, if you bike by Chicory Meadow, all that clearing out there,
That was you?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Oh, I wanted to say that the city is concerned about as a former elected official, I am very aware that every time the city accepts a public improvement, they take on a perpetual maintenance responsibility for it. And staff and our electeds are rightly concerned about that. And the plan is that right now Bike Fitchburg, which is a 501c3 nonprofit, is collecting the money and serving as the financial agent. But our long-term plan is to make the Friends of the Kyle Steger Greenway, which is currently Dawn and her sons, and a few other neighbors and friends of the family, into a 501c3. And it would have an endowment, and it would pay the annual maintenance, and it would have work days, and there would be spring and fall weeding, and perhaps prescribed burns and things like that. And so the kind of help that Sam is offering is exactly what we're looking for to keep this going.
You've got a lot of volunteers to help you.
Just like the Sunnyside Park Friends and so on. So that is our long-term plan. We're trying to design the project to minimize any city cost or staff involvements as much as we can.
Okay, thanks. Heidi, I see you have a question or comment?
Yeah, so first of all, condolences. I'm sure it was a very, very tough time you went through, and it seems like a wonderful thing that you guys want to do here. My concerns are a couple. Number one, I mean, there's a process that exists for a reason to go through all of the proper channels, and I feel like we're sort of trying to subvert that process here. And that concerns me because if I were to vote in favor of this, to be completely honest with you, I'm not even sure what I'm voting in favor of. I mean, I don't know what the overall cost, what the overall design. I mean, there's a lot of information that I feel like we haven't really been able to discuss or digest as a commission, and I don't know if it's gone through Public Works. I mean, I understand the importance this is to you and that you want it fast tracked, but I'm just wondering if we're not putting the cart before the horse, because I wouldn't even know what I'm voting for if I were to support this at this point. And I guess I would just like to have a little more detail about it before, making a decision one way or the other. So I guess that's just my opinion. I guess I would like to hold off on this just to, I guess, get more information. What's the cost? What's the, long-term, all of that, so that that the process is followed the way it's set up to be. So thank you.
Okay, thanks. And, Scott, you can follow up here with what I think I'm saying. Well, what's put before us is just getting staff involved to do those things. So voting for what is in the packet from the staff's perspective starts everything going. And I'm also, I want to see the project occur and succeed. I'm not saying anything about that, but switching in paragraphs seems a bit beyond the pay grade. The Parks Commission, when the staff is saying they want to handle it differently, or nobody's saying no, correct?
Correct.
Go ahead.
Correct. Well, in what I might offer is administrative staff did see the draft resolution that Steve put together, and what they did is they crafted a resolution that they were comfortable with to get to the final completion of the project. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to Heidi's question, I'm trying to get to Mr. Sayers' memo, which, I could read it verbatim, and it really kind of explains, Heidi, the process and and I tried to describe that at the beginning, that we're kind of saying we're in favor of the project. The Common Council will say, yeah, we're in favor of it, and then they'll direct staff to work on these arrangements in order to make it happen. And that's when the Park Commission will get involved in the details on how the thing is going to be constructed, how it's going to be paid for, all of those kinds of things. So I am trying to I can't get to it, but Sayers' memo really describes well what we're kind of in phase one right now, and getting the council, well, that's a resolution.
Oh, the staff memo, I have that too.
Yeah, I'm trying to.
You're trying to move yours.
I'm trying to move it, and I can't move it.
What page is it on, just so that?
No idea.
Oh, okay.
Well, here,
Either 17.
that's not it. Here it is.
It's, okay, and if for those who aren't here, it's on 17.
But yeah. On the numbering, it says 17 on the bottom. That's up to, if I missed page 9 of 13 or 17 from where he's referencing. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah, I just get that.
And if I might, I'll just cruise through this for you, Heidi, for your benefit. Resolution R 19324 authorizes staff to draft agreements for public improvement for city-owned property addressed at 3060 Yarmouth Greenway Drive. Will be reviewed by the Park Commission on November 7th with potential council action on the 12th. This resolution is the first step in considering public improvements for the property, which is adjacent to and accessible via the Capital City bike trail, and proposed to be named the Kyle Steigert Greenway. Bike Fitchburg has been planning and raising money for this project for some time. If this resolution is approved, the resolution will direct staff to begin working on agreements approvals for the public improvement. Further, this resolution directs staff to create city guidelines on how to handle further similar projects and requests. And then the second paragraph kind of is a little bit of a description of what the project's going to be. So that's really what we're acting on today.
Scott, just from my layperson's understanding, are you saying then if you approve what the city has put together today and it goes before council on Tuesday, are we then good to go with the project? So like if we needed to do a burn this winter, we could do that?
The council will give us final approval that the project is a good project and assign us to begin to start to work on the details that Steve kind of alluded to that we've been talking about.
So if the council approves it on Tuesday, then we would work with you all And we could set up whatever we needed to this winter into the spring to get things moving.
Yep, figure out what the agreement is and the details of the agreement, right?
My only other concern, because I know that area reasonably well, is there's a pretty large hill that comes down there when you're coming down the bike path. So I'd make sure that you increase visibility there, because when you come down that hill and you come around the corner to where you're sighting it might be difficult for whoever's there to come out. Could be a problem because people are coming down that hill 20, 25 miles an hour, right? So if you're gonna clear out an area, I would try to, maybe we can help with that, but move the area, increase your visibility so that whoever's coming down that hill can have an idea that there's something there or they're
Going east.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, that's already concerned, that hill, just pedestrians on the path and other bikers and kids and, you know.
I'm just very similar, walk by there all the time.
Yeah.
Very similar problem with the T intersection there at the Cannonball Cap City connector.
That's true.
Chris Peguero, you have a comment, question?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for sharing the story. I really appreciate the beautiful story, and I've been through loss myself. So I understand that, and I really appreciate you being so, sharing that with us. That's a gift. And what a wonderful legacy that this would be. So I think that's a beautiful, wonderful project. In regards to kind of a comment on Heidi's concerns, I wonder, Scott, do we have legal precedents that we have to follow in regards to procedure and process? Because I want to honor city staff in that process and make sure that in anything that we would do to support the project, we wouldn't inadvertently being slowing it down. Because I hear the urgency to get the project done, and I know that going through a city process, municipal process can be slow. So I understand that frustration that you're kind of alluding to, but I want to make sure that whatever we're doing, that we wouldn't be inadvertently slowing it down even more because we didn't follow process. And I guess that's a good question for.
Really what we're doing here, Christopher, is creating a policy. So certainly administrative staff, including the city attorney, we've gotten together to figure out how to put the project together, and this is kind of the result of the process that we're looking to go through in order to accomplish the project. So administrative staff, including the city attorney, has been involved in and will continue to be involved in figuring out, the rules and the agreements in order to make the project go forward.
So I think I took Christopher's comment to mean that if we made any changes to what staff put in the packet, we might inadvertently be slowing things down. So
Staff did see this draft resolution, and we got together, and the resolution that's
this is what they want. They said this is what we need to keep going.
That's what they're recommending in the resolution.
All right. Any other comment or question? Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. I have a question for Joran, if he's willing to answer. Joran, have you seen this resolution? You might not be there.
He might not be sitting right there.
Yeah. So
I'm trying.
Okay.
I'm here.
Good work. So Mike, go ahead.
I haven't read it verbatim, no, but I was in the meeting the other day.
Yep.
With city staff.
I'm wondering if the council were to pass the staff recommended resolution, if that would be enough authority for your staff to help us this fall with that most urgent request that we had, which is to push the forestry mowing slash up into burn piles so that it can be burned after the snow falls, or whether there would be yet another resolution that would be required before you felt that you had the authority to proceed with that. And that's also your question
That's a
too,
question
Scott.
for me, yeah. Well, I would say
Yeah,
that.
that's more of a question for Scott.
Okay, thank you. I'll go back to Scott then.
Yes, and the city is in full support of the project. Well, from the staff perspective, we certainly want to get approval from the Common Council to proceed. And then at that point, I could ask Mr. Brecklin and Adam to see how they felt about us trying to do some work there.
So my concern is that this has been before. We started seeing, hold up, we have to do something else, flags, beginning when we submitted the name request last August. And I'm not talking about 24, I'm talking about August of 23. And so we were told, well, we needed to provide complete financial details, which we provided to staff, but they did not provide to you. We were told that we needed a memorandum of understanding, which we provided to staff, but they did not show you. And now they're saying that they need permission from the council to draft those agreements. And that is not true of any other public improvements in my 20 years of serving on and observing city governments. The applicants are not required to get resolutions from the council to talk to staff about their projects and to draft agreements. Next Tuesday night, third Tuesday, a week from this coming Tuesday, the Plan Commission will have, and the Board of Public Works will have many agreements for public improvements for new projects around the city, and none of them have had a resolution to authorize the drafting of those public agreements. So we recognize that there is no agreement that our resolution calls for you to recommend approval for in that third resolve clause. But there is a conceptual plan that has been out there for more than a year, and there has been a name proposal that has been out there for more than a year, and we would like those things approved so that, and by all means, authorize staff to talk to us about agreements, and by all means, set policy. But I don't think that we need council approval to talk to staff for these agreements. We're ready, and we have been talking to them since August 23 about these agreements. I do not know why we need a council resolution for that. If it pleases the commission members to make a different recommendation, take the two resolve clauses, the first two resolve clauses from our draft resolution, and put them in front of the two for the staff so that you will have their resolution and their two resolve clauses plus two more. And as far as the legality of this, you're making a recommendation to the council. The council will have all of this before them, and they will get to decide. And if you said, well, I want a substitute amendment to choose Pepsi instead of Coke, that won't do anything because they'll just ignore it. It's up to them in the final analysis. We certainly hope that you will approve something, recommend approval of something tonight.
Okay, and up on the board again, I don't know whose hand was first, so I'll do ladies first. Heidi, you had a comment or question?
You're muted.
Oh, you're muted. There you go.
Sorry, I thought I hit unmute. And again, I just want to express it's not that I'm not in support of this, because I think this is a really good idea. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but the fact that there's so much confusion surrounding what it is we're actually doing here sort of reiterates my point why that maybe we're putting the cart before the horse. Scott had, I don't remember if there was one paragraph in there that said, and will give us direction on how to address future requests of this kind. So that makes me wonder, are we setting a precedent here that sort of subverts the process? And don't get me wrong, I understand. I mean, government moves very slowly, and I get that. And this seems like a wonderful project. But I guess I just don't know enough about what the impact is going to be if it's just, okay, now let's talk about it. But then in essence, it's already been approved. So at what point are we going to agree on how much this is going to cost the city of Fitchburg going forward? How much are the taxpayers, and when do the taxpayers have to kick in? I have no doubt this is a great project, and I would love to be in support of it, but I just don't feel like I know enough about it. And I just want to be honest with you. That's really where my thoughts are right now.
Okay, thank you. Christopher Figueroa?
Yeah, and I think my concern is about supporting the project that I fully support, but I don't want it to slow down. And again, I also understand frustration of government, how it can be slow, and sometimes that can be a good thing. But I don't want any action that we were to take that would, that doesn't follow a process that would slow it down even further. I think it's a critical thing that we should move forward. And again, I think the support's there. But yeah, I had another point, and I totally forgot what I was going to say. Shoot, I can't remember what it was. I'll come back if I remember it. Sorry.
Okay, that's fair, and good to know I'm not the only one. Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Sorry, just one thing. I would just reiterate, I think it sounds like a wonderful project. I'm ready to move forward with the staff proposed resolution. I do like that it details the future maintenance and that it does not mention the naming specifically, that it has just open for additional conversations. That I do have noted from that May 2023 meeting when we met before, that was a concern of something that would need to be discussed further with staff. So I think the staff resolution makes sense, that it's moving forward, it's supporting the project, but just following the standards and processes we have in place.
Okay.
Yeah, I would also add.
Thank you, and you remembered. I remember what I was going to say, and that was pretty much it. That I would resolve to follow the process we have normally follow. So and fully support that.
And to back up Sarah, we've had other recent park projects where we were a little bit sticklers on going through the naming process, so I would be pretty hesitant for that reason to change it up a little bit. And so understanding that the naming process has maybe been going slowly for you guys, that's unfortunate, but we have made a point of making other people go through that process. So I think we need to stick to that.
What is that process?
Yeah, we thought that we were following that process and that it was supposed to come to you in September of 23. And then the questions came up about future maintenance and so on. Mm-hmm. So is that, do all of those, what's the process?
Yeah.
How are we differing from the other process?
Just one, Scott can probably get to that, but the one thing that's different here is when we do all these other park namings, they're for brand new neighborhood parks. And so the developer's there and it's this entire process. Here, I don't know why the delay or the time stretched out, but one of the things I can think of is there's all these other layers that haven't been worked out. So naming something before we know exactly if it's going to come to pass, I don't know if that was the delay.
That's part of it, I guess.
So go ahead, Scott, if there's whatever else you would like to say about that.
Well, and I think I agree certainly that you offered the name of the park to the park commission, but to Sue's point, it really isn't designated as a park at this point. But I could see how we could potentially because we certainly had the 60-day notice, we've got comments, all of those kinds of things. So I think we could certainly, you know, potentially go through with the naming of the parcel somehow.
Yeah, the city wanted it to change from Kyle Stigert Park to Kyle Stigert Greenway, which is totally fine. So that was part of, I think, the process. I don't
So
know
let
if
me
one of the
see
layers or-
how we can get that taken care of. Because certainly it's, like you said, Steve, the public notice has been out there. We've received feedback and all of those kinds of things. So let me see if we can't weave that it in there somehow.
And the city also was very concerned, Heidi, to your point, as far as funding the project. And so I know Steve and I spent a lot of time this summer just getting those I's dotted and T's crossed. So we do have that initial 6,000. Also can tap into many supporters. Kyle was well loved and many supporters and fundraisers along the way. I'm really not anticipating the city needing to pay for much, if anything. Because I've already had people say, you know, do you need more? Do you need more? But until something manifests itself, I don't really want to ask them for more until we actually see things going, because they are, you know, friends and acquaintances and whatnot. And also, it's in my will, so when I'm gone and my boys take care of it, that, you know, there is money there for it to carry on.
That's marvelous and appreciated. Scott, when you talked about the park name, are you saying something for our December agenda to finalize that?
Let me talk with administration to see how we can potentially get that
Work on that
get
part
that
of it.
resolved.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. Okay, go ahead, and then we'll take a vote here.
Yeah, people are, I think, rightly wanting to follow the normal process, but the normal process would be to look at the applicant's proposal. And this is an abnormal process. And if the city administration wanted this resolution, what really they should have done was, back in August of '23, they say, well, this is new ground we're breaking, and we knew we were breaking new ground. But if they wanted a resolution, ask for it then, instead of when the mayor visits the site, ask me for a resolution, I draft a resolution and send it to staff, and it comes back with a different resolution. That's what makes it feel like our best interests are not being held to heart by administrative staff. And so, you know, I would say, if this passes, if the staff resolution passes, we will be after them to bring this other resolution to you in December about the concept plan, and we will have, and they have to tell us what kind of agreement is needed. But the one that they asked for first, we have, and now they're saying maybe we need something different, and that's fine, but let's work on it. And just before you vote, I would close by saying we appreciate the input on the sight lines and the other suggestions that have been made. So thank you for all of those.
And thank you too for your care of the project, the condolences, the people. I mean, I feel overall that people are in support, so I'm very grateful for that.
All right, so those in favor of R 193-24, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. That motion carries.
Can I abstain?
Yes, you may abstain.
And I just want to be clear, it isn't because I'm opposed to this, because I am not. I think it's a wonderful idea. I just, processes are important, and I just worry about setting a precedent. But I really hope that we're able to get this done. I really do.
Okay.
Can we amend can we put forward a different proposal to propose what the staff has recommended and move it forward that way. Because again, I don't want this to slow down. This needs to go forward. I don't want us to reject this potentially and have it come back to us later on. I'd like to propose that we
just voted to approve it. So,
Okay.
and we also, I am noting the project proponents saying, then let's do it. So, and Scott's got every intention. I know that about him. So I think we're set.
Yeah.
We're,
There you go.
okay.
Thank you very much for all your time today.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks, you guys.
Okay, so item 6A.
How do I become unfrozen?
Oh, we have a, yeah, you're a technical problem here.
Okay, thank you very much.
And would it help for you to use this one? Can you switch to this one, or?
I don't know.
Should
I
we
can,
just-
I'll talk to them. I'll talk.
I mean, I think this is important coming up, that we should really be able to see the screen here, so I don't know if there's
Well,
some.
I wonder if why don't I stop the share and then try to share it again?
Technical issue here.
I'll stop share.
Screen share.
No, try to share it again. Oh, no, that's not it. Share. It's right here.
I need to know more scrutiny on this project versus some of the others we've done.
Well, the project itself, design itself, is very difficult for.
Yeah.
It keeps freezing. Can you exit out of there? Stop sharing again.
Stop sharing.
No, if you go to share, what are you sharing again? Is it
Just the pack.
the PDF?
Yep, the PDF.
Maybe Adobe is giving you an issue, so try to share from Chrome.
So I just go here?
Yeah. Let's go to the city website.
It's really loud, shuffling, but it's chilling.
Just go down here.
Sorry about this, you guys. Yeah.
All right, that's it. All right, back to Zoom.
Back to Zoom? Oh, I didn't share it.
Yep. Share. I want to share Chrome. Share.
Share, oh.
Oh, good moving.
That's nice.
All right, thank you.
Likewise, thank you. It's moving, Sarah. There you go. That's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. So we,
Yep, we're on 6A Southdale Park Plan update, and now Scott's got an unfrozen screen. Which
yes.
is fabulous.
Thank goodness.
We just want to talk about it with Scott.
Well, yep, and actually, this is a project that you've seen. You did see some options originally, and then what we did is we, gathered feedback from the residents in the community and the Park Commission. And actually, with me tonight, we have Rob Stein from EOR, Anna's here, Eric Schulte, he's from engineering. There was some questions about the hydrology, and Joran is here kind of as support for the maintenance of it. And really what we're trying to do is continue with this project. And a couple things that I did want to make note of, if you notice the red line, that's the location of the storm sewer. And why that's important is that the splash pad or the spray amenity, what it needs to do is it needs to discharge into the storm sewer. And that was a comment that you brought up, I think previously, Chris, that the design of what we're going to put where is going to really potentially would be, depending on where certain things are. And then actually you can see here there's the sanitary and water runs along here. So we would be able to put the restrooms near the north end where all the activities are going to be. So the thought is to have a new open air shelter down at the bottom, which really would provide, certainly service for the spray amenity, but there's also food pantries and other activities that are happening down on this end of the park. The spray amenity could go in this location just because of the proximity to the stormwater. And then we could put the bathroom up in this area and this is really beginning to start to evolve into the activity area. We've got some existing playgrounds, and the idea of kind of piecemealing in between the existing playgrounds, new playgrounds. Certainly, there are some playground facilities there that are in disrepair and need to be replaced or removed, if you would. And then if you go over to the west of the site, we're finding in communication with the residents that there's a lot of family activities that are occurring in this area adjacent to the community garden. So the idea of improving this gathering space for those families is the idea here. I know we did begin to start to talk a little bit about the reduction of the amount of community gardens that we have located here. If you're familiar, there is a fence that goes around all of these gardens, and we'd be hesitant to remove any of them or decrease the number of gardens there, just because we're anticipating that these gardens certainly could be for these residents, but there may be neighboring residents that would be utilizing the community gardens. One of the thoughts was to reduce the size to increase this family gathering space, but in talking to Rob and looking at the site, we feel that we've got enough space there to do some improvements. You can also see vegetation management area. Anna's been here, and there's a lot of work that could be done in this area. And then we thought it was important too to identify the path with some future path lighting improvements, those kinds of things. So at the end of the day, this is, I guess, the next step. We had a couple different alternatives. We gathered feedback and information from this group included, and then we kind of come up with a schematic design on what the park could potentially look like. So I guess with that, any questions that you may have, and I'm thinking I think I've explained it, and actually, once the schematic design, if you guys are good with this, what I'll do then is I'll work with Rob and EOR, and we'll kind of come up with what the next step would be. And we've had some discussions about that, and it might be the idea of, okay, if this is a schematic design that we're looking at, we would need to retain Rob and EOR and begin to start to put some details to what these amenities would be. And then along with that, the development of the construction documents and the bidding documents and those kinds of things to get the project bid. But we wanted to bring it before you and see if we hit the marks on what you folks are looking for. I did include the CIP for the project just for a bit of information, and we've got $460,000, which it sounds like a lot, but but I think what we've done, we're not going to be doing anything with the paths at this point. We might do some, just painting of the shelter and those kinds of things.
Okay. Heidi, do you have a comment, question?
Just a couple questions. So the new open air shelter, am I right in seeing that that's across the street, or is that next to the spray feature? And I'm also wondering, I don't know how to scale this is, but with the little library and the bike parking, how close that is to the spray feature, if that's going to become an issue. And then the final thing, again, I'm not sure that we really need restrooms, given that it's surrounded by apartment complexes, which I would assume most of the people that utilize the park will be coming from their apartment, unless the thought is that with the bigger and better shelter, are you going to be able to rent that out for parties and things like that, in which case then you would need restrooms. So I guess those were my questions. Thank you.
Go ahead.
And actually, to your first point, Heidi, we seem to think that there's plenty of room down and it is adjacent to the road, but this is kind of a gathering area of activities, so there seems to be enough space in this area for the spray feature and the new open air shelter. And to your thought about the restrooms, this is a reservable shelter for the public, and we did have some reservations this last summer, and all of our shelter reservations locations, they do have support bathrooms for the use of for the people that utilize and rent the shelter. So the bathroom is really kind of bringing the Southdale area park up to the standards of our other area parks that have shelters that are reserved by the public.
Pat, would you keep the shelter in the back?
Yep.
If we put a better one in the front, I'm not sure we need to, and I think it'd be that one, where it sits there, it's a little iffy. Would you be looking at having two shelters there? Because I don't think you need two.
Oh, I think the one in the back is much larger, and that's the rentable space. And the little one in the front, in addition to, it's pretty small comparatively, but it's meant to support perhaps a little bit of shade for people monitoring their kids in the spray feature, and the food pantry delivery, or the families that meet there, and then also the library services. They sent a letter, the outreach that was in our emails from the last day or two. So those were the pros for having this additional little one at the street. But now, are we saying though, Scott, then there's going to be, well, it wouldn't be capital dollars, it would be operating to do whatever repairs are needed at the existing shelter, because it looks like it needs some stuff, but that's not
some TLC.
Some TLC.
Right.
That's not part of this discussion anyway, because it's okay.
An existing one,
All right. Then I have other questions and comments, but one is that there's vegetation management area, and it doesn't seem to encompass the path that goes north away from the park out to West Badger Road, and there's vegetation along the path to manage. So can that be just part of the vegetation management area?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And then it seems to kind of, on the south border of all of that, doesn't really seem to go far enough south from the pathway all the way over and then going east, because there's a lot more scrub in there, and maybe this is just a general idea, it just needs to be bigger going south. Okay, that's good.
And certainly we wouldn't just,
You're not gonna just draw a line? You're not gonna come out there with a striper and do a dotted line? Okay.
It's meant to be the whole.
All right, good to know.
Yeah, that whole area.
Okay.
Right. Including going to the north, there's a small landscape area that goes to the north, so yes, that's
okay.
The idea that we want to work on some plans in that area.
Okay. Another thing I would hope we could note exists is the place where kids go sledding, which is where you've got that you know where that is, but I think we should show that here. And it's not a very gigantic, big sledding hill, but I'm sure it's great fun if you're 10 years old and younger. Then going over to the garden area, we talked last time in May, and I think we established back then that there was not gonna be a fire pit. Did we not? We said that that was taken out of the hub and that it wasn't gonna, there was not gonna be a fire pit here. Right?
Well, and actually the hub was going to be like a gas stove or a gas, a gas fire pit, if you would.
Yeah. Because I don't know, it just seems like.
And certainly we have the, we have the grills that are in the parks.
Well, right. And that's like a second part of this, is we're not mentioning that there's a grill that's there, that people bring their charcoal and.
Right.
And there's one there, and isn't there one next to the existing shelter, another grill? There's 2 grills at the park.
Well, they may have just brought that from the.
Okay, there isn't one over there? Because there's a charcoal container over there, but maybe.
Yeah, but we don't have a charcoal grill out there. That might be someone.
Well, no, well, the existing grills, they bring their charcoal. So we should note, if we're gonna continue to have grills, we should show it in both spots. And I'm just not too crazy about the idea of a fire pit. But what I would we also talked about having some play equipment there, because part of the gathering, there's the adults there and doing what they're doing, and they're got their kids on a tire swing that I don't think we should be liable for. So put some things over there that, it's a small park, and so it's nice to have another little spot to shoehorn some activities into. And then the south border of the garden area, we should note that those are fruit trees, so that we decide, are we gonna take care of them or not? And the other question about the future of the gardens is that there's a lot of big trees there. I don't know about the life expectancy or the types of the trees. And I think to have a successful vegetable garden, you have to have minimum 6 hours of sun. So are we gonna continue to have enough sun there for there to be a garden that works, or are we gonna have to talk about tree removal? And I know nobody can answer that question probably right now, but we should be thinking about it.
But that's a good point
to
think about.
And at the very, along Deer Valley Road, on the right-hand side there, I think existing right now across from the little library is 1 or 2 handicap parking designations where you actually drive into the park and park off to the right there. So if it is there, are we gonna continue that?
Yeah,
It's there and it'll stay there, okay, so then we, and I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this, but this Hazelwood Court and Country Rose Court, those are private roads, correct? Because they're not signed that way, but that's Town of Madison signs. It's got the same color street signs as Deer Valley. And that would matter. If they are public, then we've got some public parking there.
Well, I think that's for the residents.
It looks that way, but if our experts can just verify that, it would be nice to know whether or not.
I think they would be within our property line if they were public.
Yeah, but it's a street. It's going to be given a name, Hazelwood Court. And the other one on the other side. So I think I think it's not public, but I would like us to just
I think that type of parking wouldn't be allowed on a public street, so I think that's a private road.
Okay.
I looked up the DCI GSI map, just to add, and it looks to be private.
Okay, as I thought, but thank you for telling me.
We got some skills out there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that the restrooms, there's a pro and con to the restrooms there. It's closest to where a lot of activity occurs, and it's not gonna cost a lot with the sewer and water right there. But the one, for example, Hugo Jamestown, the restrooms are right along the street, and that does help with monitoring for safety and vandalism, etc., where that's tucked pretty far back, and you lose sight of a public view of the park, or of the restroom, so that's just, I'm not saying I favor one or the other, but you lose that with the pushback there. And surely there's probably also sewer and water to hook into right at Deer Valley Road. If that was a big enough consideration, you're not losing any money.
Well, and the thought might be too that it's closer to the shelter that's being
Absolutely.
reserved and those
Yeah.
kinds of things. And I certainly understand what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, it's
But it
300
seems-
feet roughly to walk, 350 feet. So it's not like, for example, Stoner Prairie Park restrooms were 300 yards away from.
And it may.
And this is only 300 feet,
Yeah,
so
even the amount of space down there, Sue, that
it's
might-
more, it makes it more tight, absolutely. I appreciate everybody letting me go around the whole park with my questions. That's everything I had. Anybody else have a question, comment?
I would say it's much improved over version 1, so I think that's my first comment, so thank you for paying attention to some of the
Thanks
things
for
you were
letting us
saying.
know,
Yeah, I mean, especially the lighting feature, I think that's important that you put that in there, because that's a little bit scary over there. I guess I'm not sure who's managing that garden space over there. That was one concern, because there's an awful lot of, I mean, there's plenty to burn back there. There's a lot of garbage, so maybe we can kill 2 birds over there. But I don't know, that space looked pretty rough, so I don't know what the plans are on improvement, what exactly that means, but there's certainly, that area needs to be cleaned up. I mean, it's right by, and then you're right by the railroad tracks over there, and there's a lot of.
Well, and we did hear from Alfonso. He's the person who manages the community gardens, and he shared with us that a lot of families gather in that space. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I think to your point, we get it cleaned up and put some additional amenities there. I think it's really going to be nice for the community.
The only other point I had was on the one of the concerns that when I first went there, I'm like, my God, this is a really small space, and then they have this huge soccer field in there, and I'm like, are they really, where the residents are really concerned about the soccer field?
Oh yeah.
So are we going to improve? Like the goals were like huge. I'm like, I mean, there certainly weren't regulation.
And it certainly isn't a regulation size. The goals might be a little bit too big for the space, Sam, if you would, but certainly the soccer is a popular event, and along with the open.
And the only reason why I bring that up, because it looks like there's a few areas where the play space may encroach a little bit on the soccer field, and you're a little close to the spray feature over there.
Yeah,
so the ball may go rolling into it.
Well, and even too, there's opportunity to switch the direction of the soccer goals and those kinds of things.
I think that'd be a good idea, because right now the way you've got it set up, I think you might have a few people who complain about that.
And we can massage that.
But otherwise, I think it's much improved over your first version.
I thought of the other question I had was that, and I realize it won't stay because it's not legal anymore, the size of the large swing set. But where it is if you sled down the hill where it is, there's a little built up section of earth that I assumed was there so that kids that are sledding don't slide too far and go into kids that might be on the swings, even if it's winter. So do we know why that was there? If it's taken out, does that mean maybe it was there instead to keep stormwater from flooding the playground? And that was that hydrology question. So if someone of our experts can tell us what they know about that, that's appreciated.
I'm happy to give you my interpretation of what happened there. And I think what you're seeing is that when the bay for the swings and there was a big net climber there, I think they did a little earthwork there and just bermed up on the backside of the hill and directed water kind of around that play space. And that whole hillside seems to be very stabilized. And Ben, feel free to chime in. You were there. We were there on site together. But I think it was a result of the original installation of that play equipment.
So it could stay
Yeah,
there.
that was my impression as well. Probably a good thing to to keep there. I think it does kind of divert some of that runoff to the west there. There's kind of a swale pretty much immediately adjacent to that path that runs kind of northwest, southeast. Yeah, and it seemed like that was kind of allowing water to get into that swale rather than go across the whole field. So it seemed like something that would be good to keep in some fashion, at least, to keep that drainage pattern.
So well, we wouldn't know an exact layout right now, play equipment, et cetera. That's not the discussion, but it's possible to make the sledding hill a little longer if the swale or the raised earth were pushed a little bit further down. It's a little short sledding hill. It could be made perhaps to be a little longer and just still be mindful of where you want to rebuild an earthen dam, for no other way of describing it, to continue to divert stormwater away. Just a thought. Thank you. And does anybody who's from city staff that's listening, if there are things you'd like to tell us, please just chime in and let us know. All right. I guess we don't. Are there any other questions or comments? Go ahead, Christopher.
I'll just say that I like the idea of a fire pit, but we should get the fire department's at least unofficial sign off on that first, just so they don't veto it down the road, so we don't promise something and then have to, or show some notion of something and then have to take it away later. So I'm all for it if the fire department will let us have it, but we should just check on that first, at least informally.
Well, I thought another question in that same area. If we're making improvements, is there any need to do anything with lighting there? There might be parking lot lighting for those buildings that spills over, and maybe nothing's necessary at all, but just a question. Or street, they might have a street light in that court back there.
There already.
Yeah.
Definitely take a look at that.
All right. Okay, so we just gonna have notes here and go from here?
Well,
I mean, we've got a long list. Are we voting? We've got some unanswered
I would say
questions.
we could take a vote that, schematically, where you're comfortable with it, with the notes. I'm not hearing any dramatic changes, there's some details that I think we need to include, but, if you're comfortable with approving the schematic design, then we'll take that along with the comments and continue moving forward.
Okay, I mean, we have comments that yes restroom, no restroom. That's taken into consideration.
I guess.
You've got a list of notes and a schematic design.
Well, in that schematic design includes the restroom in this area.
Okay.
So that's.
Okay.
That's.
So, just so we know if whoever's saying aye or no, there were remarks about restroom and that might be the one thing.
Regarding the restrooms with how tight that space is, I do remember feedback on the splash pad that there's value in having the restrooms near the small kid activities. But are you saying that that's just not, and I like your comment of safety as well, but is it just not an option to have it? They just wouldn't fit?
Well, we've got trees and a park ID sign there, and then there is a lot of stuff down there. In that message board and.
I've been struggling with that in my head the whole time here. On one hand, we want the restroom close to the activity and where the rentable shelter is, but on the other hand, we also want it near utilities. And then also, if we're building an open air shelter near the spray feature, which I think is a good idea for shade, it'd be nice to, maybe there are some efficiencies to combine those, a restroom and a shelter, a shade structure off of the restroom. But then it's way down there and it's way from the other thing. So like, there's no perfect solution here. Maybe it might be worth looking at if there's room for the soccer field to rotate 90 degrees, that opens up a little space down there. Maybe a combined restroom shade structure near the splash pad might make sense down there then. It's like
also one here? No, just, that would be.
No, you also have
Just
the
one,
existing
not
shelter
just-
too, right, you're running out, so the
Then-
existing shelter,
then we're-
maybe have the restrooms closed.
Right, then we're also
Yeah.
moving the restrooms
Yeah.
farther from the existing shelter. So
Yeah.
like we can accomplish 2 of 3 maybe goals, and I don't know which 2 are
Well, the one-
priorities.
Where are we getting money?
The one thing.
Well, Sam, I think I don't think it's gonna be a case of, certainly it would be a case if you wanted to move the splash pad up to the activity area, because it's gotta get to the storm sewer. But I don't think there's really gonna be much difference in price of the restroom, if it's in one spot or the other.
Right.
No, that's your.
Here's something to think about with where each location of the restroom. Going back to when we talked about it in May, and someone else can correct me because my skills and the app I might use to judge distance is different than what Ben has. But I think it's only like 300 feet. So if I'm at the play area with a toddler and a 5-year-old, I can pick up, and one of them needs to go, I can pick up my toddler under my arm with my 5-year-old and run 300 feet pretty quickly to the restroom that's located along Deer Valley Road. And I like the idea of, that Chris had of, can you combine the shelter with the restroom at the frontage of Deer Valley? It's a small shelter.
And then there might be some advantages for the spray pad or the spray feature.
Then it's close, that's closer.
Wasn't there some berm or something there too, or something that was weird? I can't remember now.
Rob, go ahead. Did you have something to tell us?
I just wanted to make the comment regarding combining the restroom with the open air shelter as a possibility. If you're looking to do that as a combined structure, I think you're going to look at the price tag going up quite a bit, because then you're going to have an architecturally designed feature versus potentially, if you go this route, you can get kind of like an off-the-shelf cement structure that's a restroom building, and then you can have kind of a pre-designed, like a polygon or an icon structure shelter. I hope I'm making sense there. But if you combine the two, then you got to hire a custom architectural design.
Just having a prefab thing that
Yeah.
you drop in.
So you could still fit potentially both of them there, it's just you wouldn't attach one to the other, and then the shelter could be more of an off-the-shelf item.
Maybe. And maybe there's a way to work with manufacturers to try to make it as, cohesive as possible. But I think if you're looking to truly combine them, it's going to drive the price up.
Okay, and then someone mentioned that, other things that are there are the message board and this park sign. Now, they don't have to be in the exact spots where they are. They can, truly, there's limited frontage, but you'd be able to pick those up and squeeze them in elsewhere perhaps to make that idea work of the restroom up there. But the other thing is there is a large tree there, and that berm affects the tree. So that berm is a waste of space, but having gone there with our forester, and she's here online here with us, I asked her about, well, if we move that berm, it's gonna affect the tree roots, and she said yes, so we'd have to decide, how much of that useless pile of soil that's there can go to make room for other features without killing the tree.
I'm in favor of keeping it where it is. This is a small park we're talking about. Even if you're a mother with a small kid, going from that splash pad to that restroom is not a hike.
In either direction, wherever it's located, it's not far from
I mean, it's,
more
such a
distant
nice, it's
activity.
actually not a bad location, because if you have a lot of activity over on the left-hand side and people need to use the restroom, it's a lot closer to get to that than it is to go all the way down. So I think it's a good compromise where it is in terms of, because you've got an existing shelter, which you remember there's a ton of picnic tables
Yeah,
there.
it's true, it's more central to all of
It's a central
it.
location, I really think it makes
Yeah,
sense.
if the policing issue matters,
You know, and I don't know, because the community is there, the community is watching it. You know, our kid's gonna goof around, sure, but I wouldn't.
it's not as big a factor. I see people here at the table shaking their heads, so.
Yeah, I mean, I think where it is, it's good, because, I mean, they're right close to the apartments there too, so it'll be policed somewhat by people who are actually living there.
They can
So
see it
I
too.
really think the location is very good.
Okay. All right. Now, but Anna, she was all queued up to answer a question. It is still.
Yep.
The large tree in the front, we're done talking about restroom relocation, but where that large tree is, and somehow there got to be a pile of earth left there, maybe it was to keep soccer balls from rolling out into the street or something, but that is such a tight space. If we can find out somewhere down the road that some of that soil can be taken out without killing the tree, I just think it'd be easier to maintain too, if that can happen.
Yeah, it would. I think if we did, I mean, if we were creative about it, we could probably save that tree and move some of that dirt. But the tree is kind of planted on the side of that berm or whatever it is. I'm not sure if it was intentional or not, but so we can't really change the grade within the drip line of that tree, but we could change it, you know, a little closer to the soccer field if we needed to without harming the tree too much. We just have to be intentional about it and, be mindful of what we were doing.
All right, thank you.
Yep, no problem.
Any other questions or comments? Okay.
So if we could get a first and a second on the schematic design, that'd be great.
Okay, this would be a motion to approve the schematic design with consideration for the comments that were offered today. So do I have a motion along those lines?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I've got Christopher Sina on that, and a second?
I'll second it.
Sam DiMaggio is the second, okay.
Thanks everyone for being.
Is there a, okay, those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, and any opposed? Okay, that motion carries.
Thanks everybody for coming in tonight. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you,
I'll
staff.
be in touch, Rob.
Thank
You
you,
are
staff.
Sounds good.
And
Nice to see you all. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Okay.
Enjoy.
Thanks, yeah, very, okay.
Still water
he's-
from me.
Yes, okay. Communications, Scott, Park project
Park
updates.
project updates. Just wanted to kind of give you a layout of, we've got some projects from 2022, 2023, 2024, and then our projects for 2025 and actually 2026. So it's kind of an update for the Park Commission. I will tell you that we're working to potentially have the Park and Open Space Plan update here at the Park Commission in December. So that might be forthcoming. And we're still continuing to work on Tower Hill, McKee, and the pickleball courts. But there's a good list of projects there, and I can certainly provide any additional information on any specific one. And if there is a specific one that you'd be interested to get on the agenda, we could certainly discuss that.
I think I sent you an email regarding the one I was interested in, because I know about this comprehensive park inventory, because I talked to city administrator about it. And so I was curious as to, I know you're supposed to have this done by the end of the year, you know, what's gonna look like. I think it could be a good vehicle for us in the Park Commission to understand what assets are in each park, to kind of go over there and prioritize what stuff and work with you guys to say, hey, what stuff needs to get fixed here, you know, what are we seeing as a commission? So I think that document could be incredibly helpful for us going forward. In fact, we could even use that document to maybe go to some of these parks to say, hey, what do you think of this? You know, I mean, because I find it incredibly valuable, just like we did for the South Park thing, to actually go there, look at it, really get an idea of what the, you know, what the topography, even the bike thing we talked about. If you don't live there and you haven't seen that, you really can't make a good comment about what some of the potential issues are. So I think it's really important, one, that we get this inventory done, and two, as a commission, we get out there and look at all those assets and gives us some idea of what needs to get fixed.
And really what I'm looking to do is, it's not only gonna be the park inventory, certainly we have a lot of park spaces that have amenities, but we have woodlots, so that's gonna be another layer or another map. We've got a lot of undeveloped properties that I think is gonna be another part of it. We got paths and trails, and then we've got tall grass and prairies, and really, I've been here for a while, and this is the first time that we've really taken the time, that I've taken the time to get out there and inventory everything. And to your point, Sam, it's gonna enlighten everybody on the capacity and the size of the park system, which in turn too is gonna help us kind of have the background data to do budget proposals and do all of those kinds of things. So I think it is gonna be the helpful tool with objective data that we have out in the system to help us. And certainly, I know Anna, I don't know if Anna's still there, but she's doing the tree inventory, and actually we did receive, I sent you an email that she was successful in writing the grant for the strategic management plan. So that, I think too, is really gonna kind of set the urban forestry plan for the future, which is really going to be.
I'd be interested to see what the format looks like. I mean, I'm certain you're going over tangible assets, but then it sounds like also intangible assets. Like
my list is pretty much all the different, the 50 or 60 parks and all the different amenities. So that's going to be the inventory of the park space, but certainly.
How are you going to do that for like Dolly? Let's take that one for example, right? Because that's a
Dolly Conservancy.
Yeah.
We've got a shelter with bathrooms there. We've got a patio that's there. We've got a path that's there. We got a.
And there's another side to it, right? Over on the other side that I've spent a few hours in there.
Yeah. Well, it's just like I say, it's a comprehensive.
We're just gonna let that go.
Comprehensive. How many basketball? How many picnic table? The whole nine.
So it's already there, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah. So just inventory.
That's great. I think it's really, really good. Excited about it.
And I can certainly, it's going to take a little bit, but that could be something that I could come, because like I say, that's going to be the tool that I think we can utilize to help put together our budget, operating budget, and then also a CIP budget. So, and that I can't take credit for. It was an assignment that was given to me by my boss. So that was a.
Was that Chad?
No, Adam.
Oh, Adam did.
That was a good.
I mean, that's where I heard about it. I didn't know anything about it, and I talked to Chad about it, and he told me about it.
Yeah.
Okay, we move on to 8. Are we okay with that? Staff reports and updates. Do we have questions or comments? You guys are busy.
I will announce that Cece, she has taken another job with the Mount Horeb Recreation Department.
Oh.
So she'll.
Good for her.
Yes.
Is a move for her that she wanted, obviously.
And that position that she has is kind of entry level, and it gives them the 2 or 3 years experience so they can go on to bigger and better things. So
there'll be a job posting here then.
Yes, yes, we'll work on that.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions on any of the staff reports? Okay. Future agenda items, I know.
Park and open space plan for sure.
Is gonna be on there.
Well, I don't know, that's the plan, yeah.
Well, whether, it doesn't say that it's December, it just says future.
Future, no.
Right?
It's good.
ASAP, right? And then Sam, the comprehensive inventory as one of the items.
And then we will be meeting here again in December.
December 5th, our Secret Santa exchange. And then January 2nd. Motion to adjourn? So moved. Sarah?
So moved.
Well, we're gonna give Sarah Schroeder the move and Dave Herbst the second. And those in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned at 7:38.
Thanks, everybody.